You forgot the first rule of remakes, Jill. Don't fuck with the original.
Hey everybody, welcome to Don't F with the Original!
With Nicholas, I'm the video game correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I am Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic and film critic. Now this week sees the release of Transformers: Dark of the Moon.
Worst title ever.
It seems like there's a word missing in there, doesn't it?
Yes.
Dark is an adjective, not a noun, so something's wrong here. That would be saying, like, the pretty of my hair. Anywho, to celebrate the occasion, we thought we would review the original. Not by the original, since this is Don't F with the originals. We don't actually mean, like, the first movie in the series. I don't mean Michael Bay's Transformers. I thought we would review instead the original Transformers, the movie, the 1986 cartoon
Yes.
that followed the TV show between Season 2 and Season 3.
Indeed. Basically, what happens in this movie, it's your classic Autobots versus Decepticon. Decepticons have control of Cybertron. The Autobots are trying to get it back. But, unfortunately, something else, another big bad arrives, Unicron, that devours planet, and it threatens Cybertron as well. So the Autobots and Decepticons have to deal with Unicron as well, trying to protect Cybertron from it.
Yeah, and there's some stuff about the Matrix of Power.
Yes.
Well, because what it is, for me, it's really just a sort of passing of the torch movie. What you have at the beginning of the movie is the big climactic battle between the Decepticons and the Autobots that we knew. Then there's sort of a clearing of the board that happens because of that big battle.
Let's call it a decimation.
Yeah. Really? Is there really one left for every 10 Transformers that you killed?
Roughly.
And then they sort of introduce the new line of toys that are going to dominate the cartoon from now on and sort of introduce you to what roles they're going to play in the new mythology as the next generation of Transformers, essentially what it is.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, the central threat is Unicron, who is voiced by Orson Welles, of all people. I love that it's Orson Welles' last role. Like, the man who gave us Citizen Kane, the last thing he ever did on this earth was record the voice of Unicron on the Transformers cartoon. I love this. And I love that in the interviews they asked, like, oh, you're going to be in Transformers the movie. What role do you play? And he went like, well, I play this giant toy who eats other toys. That's how he describes his role, and I love it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of voice acting, so many actors of the day. Of course, Megatron gets replaced in a way that I guess we shouldn't spoil, but he gets replaced by Galvatron, who's voiced by
Leonard Nimoy. Yeah, that was very distracting. You hear that, and all of a sudden you're like, why is Spock evil? I don't get it.
Well, the man is an actor. He gets to play different roles.
Yeah, but still, it's Spock's voice, and it's coming out of a robot. It's just very odd. It's kind of like the episode Spock's Brain, when he acts like a robot because he doesn't have a brain anymore.
I guess so. That was way too geeky for me. I just
Alright.
what was that? I don't know. I am not a Trekkie, sorry guys. You say that distracted you. What really distracted me, though? Burgess Meredith as Cup, who is an old-timer Transformer.
So old he has wrinkles.
I know. And he's pretty much playing Rocky's coach again. Like, really, except he's coached to Hot Rod, the new ingenue of the series. In that movie, he sort of has the main arc. He has a coming-of-age arc in there.
Yeah.
And he's voiced by Judd Nelson, of all people. Judd Nelson, who, of course, every time I hear his voice during the movie, I was like, oh, come on, give us that line from Breakfast Club. Give us that line. Like, you want one more cigarette? They're great. I just wanted that. Because cigarettes in that kid's cartoon, that would have been awesome.
Indeed.
Although, you know, it is a PG-13 movie.
Yeah, a lot of destruction in that one.
You know what? I'm not entirely sure it's because of the destruction. But
Really?
yeah, I think it's for that one word in that movie at one point.
Yes, I know the word you're talking about.
That came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I had to rewind the movie. I was like, did they actually say that?
They use the S word that means poop.
That was shocking for me. It's like that was not in the cartoon.
And it's because it's so gratuitous too at the same time, because it's the sort of thing where they could easily have replaced the lion, because it's just an expression of surprise the way it's
Yeah,
used there.
that's
So they
true.
could have said anything.
Yeah. I guess they really wanted the parents there so that they could get the money for the parents and the kids.
Yeah, and I think it was their way to get the PG-13. I think you're right when you point out there's a lot of destruction. There's a lot of Transformers dying, which we didn't see before in the cartoon.
Yeah.
In this movie, when Transformers get shot, they get shot for good.
Yeah, indeed. No repairs. They try to repair, but, most of the time it's over.
Yeah. And I think they knew that would cause problems, so I think they were aiming for PG-13, and I think they strategically placed that word to guarantee the PG-13, so that the kids of too young age would not go alone to this movie,
Yeah.
and then come out completely traumatized.
I understand certain of the Transformers that die as a young kid that you're a fan of the series, you would see that and you'd just probably cry in the theater.
Well, I think so. So some of the others are particularly cruel, too.
Yes, indeed.
I think the first ones, when the Decepticons attack the Autobot ship, with Megatron giving a really mean-spirited one-liner before he takes one out in the most cruel way possible.
Yeah, I know. The other one's begging. He's almost grabbing his leg, begging, and just cruel one-liner and bang in the head. That's like, wow, you knew the Decepticons really meant it this time, and they're going to destroy the Autobots. But yeah, I was shocked at the beginning. Like, the Decepticons were never this vicious or nasty. In the series, they always only wanted to have Energon cubes, and they were stopped by the Autobots. They never really went on the offensive. Let's go and destroy the Autobots, like, attack right now. Their plans was mostly to, destroy them in a roundabout way, but they were really vicious at the beginning there. That surprised me, really.
Yeah, well, the whole war sequence on Autobot City, which is such a dumb city, it transforms, except everybody has to pull levers and stuff.
Yes.
Like, what the heck is this?
And it transforms. The only way it transforms, guns come out.
Yeah.
Why don't you just have the guns out at the beginning?
I know, yeah. It's a really dumb thing, but like the battle sequence itself, it's just full of casualties and it's pretty fun. Although I find there's some weaknesses there. I find the animators got lazy because continuity doesn't like. I believe the same Insecticons died like 6 times in that battle.
No, they just got shot and it's like, oh, I can still function, and they went back to battle and they get shot again.
No, because there's one point where it gets shot, then like hangs on to a bridge that's being transformed and so is lifting, and a car crushes its head, and it's like, I'm pretty sure it's dead at this point. And then it's like a scene and a half later, it's there shooting people flying with its head completely intact.
Yeah, that's true. Well, there were 3 Insecticons, and they destroyed one of them. 2 of them were eating the door, so maybe that's the 3rd one that we didn't realize.
No, that was the cricket one. That was the cricket one.
Okay, that's lazy then. That's lazy animation. I agree.
And that happens a lot. Like, there was a lot of that in that battle scene. I think there was just too many Transformers, and the animators might not have been able to keep track of. These productions, I imagine, must have been rushed through so that it can fit between season 2 and season 3.
That's possible.
And there was probably a toy launch related to it, because that's the thing. The whole thing is about getting rid of the old toys and introducing the new line of toys, and it's pretty blatant.
Yeah, the middle of the movie when they keep introducing, oh, more robots, oh, more robots, oh, more robots. That kind of, it got me out of the story a little bit. It's like, okay, enough with the new robots. Can you do something with those robots now?
Yeah, there's this scene where the new Decepticon Armada is being introduced, where it's really just like a parade of toys going like, and this will be Scourge and his swipers, and this will be Cyclonus and his generals. And what do? Nothing. They're just there. It goes like, this is the toy you can buy.
Yes. Did they have the ship also? This is going to be your spaceship. And
yes.
They had the ship as well as a toy?
I never saw it as a kid, but I remember seeing it on a website. A website I recommend for people. It's a blog about Transformers and other toys called redshirt.co.uk. Very, very fun blog.
Great site.
Yeah. And yeah, he did show that there was that ship.
I mean, to me, Transformers were always like machines that could transport themselves. That's where the Autobots rolled out. So when you're introducing ships for them to pilot, you're like a robot piloting a ship. That's starting to blow my mind here.
You know what blows my mind related to that though is that Okay, they show Galvatron, the new Decepticon leader, next to Cyclonus, his general, and they're the same size. And then Cyclonus transforms into a ship, which Galvatron pilots.
Well, Astro Train as well, the triple changer, like the locomotive and the space shuttle. All of a sudden, he's normal size compared to the other robots, but at one point, all of the Decepticons fit in Astro Train, and he's flying through space. It's like, how does that work exactly?
My favorite part is that Devastator, which is the result of 6 Transformers transforming into a giant that was capable of taking out Autobot City, is actually active in Astro Train.
I mean, that makes Astro Train huge. And he's not that big. I had to toy. He's smaller than Optimus Prime, really. Size doesn't matter, apparently.
But we're nitpicking. I want to get back a little bit on sort of the story structure. It has nothing to do with the Transformers cartoon as we're used to knowing it. Or certainly not the iteration that's being remade in the Michael Bay movies. I find it's a lot closer to heavy metal. Not the music, but of course the fantasy magazine. Because it's all about these ragtag heroes going to different worlds, having crazy space magical adventures in different worlds, with this prophecy at the end of the line that they need to execute. And there you have this coming of age hero in Hot Rod who's sort of like really eager and well-meaning, but he lacks experience and maturity, and he's gonna get that maturity eventually.
Yeah.
It's like, and he's fighting Sharkticons and Unicrons and Quintessons. And
Quintessons, yeah. Introduced the first time. I was so confused in the cartoon after that. But I see what you're saying. But again, trying to realize a prophecy, they don't know what the prophecy is.
Well, no, they do. Optimus Prime says it.
No, Optimus Prime says the Matrix will light your darkest hour.
That's a prophecy.
But they don't. They know the prophecy, but they don't know They don't know about Unicron or at all, or what the hell's happening.
But that's a standard trope in fantasy movies. You get a cryptic prophecy. The characters think it's meant to be executed one way. In this movie, beat the Decepticon, and of course, the prophecy turns out to be something much grander and more powerful. That's sort of really standard.
I guess, although the person that thought that this was supposed to be used to beat the Decepticons is kind of silly, because they've been fighting the Decepticons for 2 seasons now. Why didn't they use the Matrix at that point?
Yeah, but Ultra Magnus, he's the new general in the Autobot general in the new generation. He's kind of dumb.
Yes, he is.
He's kind of really dumb.
I will give you that.
And like watching this movie, you understand like that it's designed on purpose, of course, so that the kids understand why he will not be the chosen one ultimately.
Okay, I can see what you're saying. What about the humans?
Oh man, the humans have always been the plague of the Transformers cartoons.
Yes.
I will defend the humans in the first Transformers Michael Bay movie. I think that's actually the part of the movie that works. The robots didn't work as well for me in that movie. But in the cartoons, it's like, less humans, better.
Yes.
In this case, they even made him a kid, which of course kids hate that. Kids hate being told that they should relate to a kid, because kids always want to relate to somebody bigger, somebody stronger, somebody more awesome.
A giant robot, for example.
But here you have Daniel, and everybody calls him that. Nobody calls him Daniel. Everybody calls him Daniel.
Maybe it's spelled with 3 A's. You don't know.
I think it's just Judd Nelson was the first one recording his voice that day, and everybody else made fun of him. Like, I think that's what happened. But yeah, he is. Well, I don't mind him so much because his appearance in the film is somewhat limited.
Yeah, and half the time the Autobots just ignore him completely outright. He says something and they just react like he wasn't there. That was enjoyable to me. Yeah,
Ultra Magnus is the one who loses patience with him the most, and it's pretty funny.
Yes, even his father yells at him at one point.
He's annoying. I don't know why they brought him aboard. I mean,
yeah.
For those of you who followed the cartoons and somehow did not watch this movie, which I don't think there must be many of you, but he's Spike's son, like Spike from the first 2 seasons of Transformers, who essentially the Shia LaBeouf character in Transformers, the Michael Bay movie is.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah. And so in the future he has a son who's like, what? He must be 6, 7, 8 years old now?
Something like that.
Oh God, why? You know what I mean? Like, and why does this kid not have a mother? Like, what is this? A Disney movie? Like, where's the mother?
It was a Marvel movie. No, it wasn't Disney at all. It was Marvel and somebody else.
That's true. And back then, Marvel wasn't owned by Disney yet.
Yeah.
Well, it does take place in the future. Maybe they knew.
Why even have them in the movie? Nobody liked the humans in the first season 1 and 2. It was about giant robots kicking ass. So market research, come on, and there weren't any human toys. Kids wanted the robots. So
That actually is not technically true. There were human figurines that came exclusively with some Transformers.
oh, okay, but you didn't buy. He didn't buy. I want a human figurine. So to me, it was very weird why they would add the humans in the movie.
To be fair, they're barely there. They're just there to be there.
Yeah, but in that case, why even put them there?
You know what? I didn't think of it, but now that you asked the question, I'm guessing that it makes the Transformers cooler. It's sort of like you need a civilian to remind you that the superhero is a superhero. If all you have is like superheroes, they're all just people.
Oh.
So to remember that Hot Rod is a giant robot, you need a little human next to him.
That's what Bumblebee's for.
Oh, you know what I mean, right?
Oh, like when you were a kid, he wasn't your favorite.
No, not at all. I liked Shockwave.
Yeah, okay. He was cool.
I have to say, I really enjoy the movie as this big epic fantasy that is sort of relentless and really fun. It's heavy metal for kids, as I mentioned, but at the same time, it's sort of a little bit relentless because of that. It's just never... This movie has no quiet moments. It has one quiet moment. It's the most effective scene in the movie, which we'll discuss during the spoiler section. But before that, it's just like, it's sound after sound. Here's this new toy, this guy talks fast, this guy says old stuff, that Grimlock wants this and Grimlock wants that. Okay, now we have a little guy who rhymes, and it's like, stop it!
He didn't rhyme, he was the Micro Machine guy.
No, the little kid who meets the Dinobots rhymes.
Oh, okay, him, yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about the Micro Machine guy that was
Blur talks fast.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, all these elements, one after the other, like, there's a lot happening in Transformers the movie.
Yeah.
Because they do the Star Wars thing of splitting the narrative in two at some point.
Yeah.
And each one could have made, like, a decent cartoon movie in and of themselves.
That's true. And then they joined back all together. And like, where are they? What's happening? It's really intense. They wanted to cram all those new toys really, really fast in those movies.
And they did give each of them a full storyline, too, which you would not expect in that many toys being presented to you. Okay, exceptions to that are Cyclonus and Scourge.
They're bad guys.
But even Galvatron has quite an elaborate personality because he is forced to work for Unicron, but he really doesn't want to. And at one point, Unicron, who eats planets, decides, Cybertron, yummy, yummy. And Galvatron is like, that's my whole planet. No.
Yeah.
And it makes for a nice conflict, actually. All those characters have really nice personalities. Hot Rod comes off pretty nicely as well.
Indeed. They did explore the other two in the cartoon season 3 a lot more. Cyclonus had a great personality there.
Oh, he was terrific. He was my favorite.
So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just ran out of time. Cyclonus was just there so that Galvatron could ride him.
Wow, there they...
There were like 5 of them, and they had the Autobots on the run the whole time. Mm-hmm. So that's what you knew about them. They were badass.
Yeah, I agree. And the rest of the Autobots are each given a personality, except the Smurfette of the bunch, who's just... Her personality is she's a girl. She's a girl
with Princess Leia earring type hair.
It's, yeah, she's a girl. That's all they did with her. And Blur needs to be hit in the head. What they did is instead of writing him a lot of dialogue that he could fit in smaller amounts of times than other characters, they just had him repeat the same sentences like 16 times, which sort of defeats the purpose of Blur.
The same idea, like, he needs to get the Dinobots in the shuttle, so, I need to get him in, Yeah, okay, we get it. Can you say other stuff besides that?
Yeah, I think it would have been great to cram a lot of needless exposition that you don't really want to listen to anyway, and contract that. That would have been neat.
Yeah, indeed. What about the soundtrack?
What about the soundtrack? Soundtrack, man. I love the soundtrack. Eileen, who does the music for this site and who is also my writing partner for various projects, I delight in driving her nuts by singing tracks from Transformers the movie to her.
You're driving me nuts too, but...
It's just full of, like, ridiculous 80s power ballads.
Yep.
And to top... Yep.
Think Rocky 4, but even less subtle. Like, continuous.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Rocky 4 because the actual score, like the instrumentals tracks in there are actually by Vince Nicola, who did the score for Rocky 4, and you can totally hear it. It's the same stuff.
Yeah. But it doesn't stop. At one point, I was like, enough with the songs. Just have some action without the music. It was really distracting.
Yeah, and it's because it's not subtle music either. Like, the songs are not subtle, but that's okay. But it's like the pick of songs are not subtle either. It's like Optimus Prime arrives to save the day, and it's like, you got the touch, dun, dun, dun. You got the power, and you're like, okay. And then when the young hero Hot Rod takes a big risk and takes on a big challenge in Unicron. Dare to believe you can survive. It's like, come on, man. It's like, must the lyrics tell me exactly what the heroes are thinking?
I know. I mean, that it was just distracting. When I noticed the soundtrack that much in the movie, I don't enjoy it.
It's kitschy, and for me, it's sort of part of the fun of Transformers the movie. I have a lot of affection for that soundtrack, but for all the wrong reasons. You know what I mean?
No, I would not pop that soundtrack in my computer while I work and just listen to the music. That's not something I would do.
So I guess it's a good time to get into ratings.
Yes, I'm going to give it a B+. Very good. Good, but it's a little. If you don't see season 1, 2, and season 3, you're gonna watch that, watching what the hell's happening. If you don't have any memory of this, you're gonna watch this movie. It's not a standalone thing. You need to know what these characters are. You really need to have a background. So, out in itself, it's not great as a movie. But if you're a Transformers fan, it's very good. So I'd give it a B+.
It's interesting you say that, because I actually have the opposite feeling about it. I think it does a great job being a standalone story. Because it's such a different tone. It's such a shift in tone compared to what the cartoon is about. And I feel the little introduction at the time where they're robots and they've been fighting for Earth for 30 years and now we're going to see the climactic battle. Game on. Pretty much sums up all you need to know. They're robots and they beat each other up.
I don't know. We'll go a little more on what I think about it in spoilers, because you have to go into that to really express what I think. But there's certain scenes that really don't work as well if you have known these characters for 2 seasons.
That's interesting. We'll get to that in the spoiler section, as you suggested. Yeah. And to get to that quickly, I'll just give my rating quickly. I'll just give it a B-.
You like it less than me, and you're defending
it? No,
I
think I like it more than you. I taught at a real university, not a party university, so I don't give high grades just like that.
Hey, don't talk to ASU about that. You're dead.
No, but seriously, I think you got to be in the right mood. I think this is exactly the sort of movie, if you're a hardcore 80s cartoon fans, you're gonna love this. This is awesome. But if you're a casual moviegoer and you're like, should I check out this cartoon? No. This movie doesn't have any silences. It'll drive you nuts. Yeah. As you pointed out, you already have to care about Transformers a little bit to watch it. It's for hardcore fans. Hardcore fans will be really well served with this. Anybody else, stay away. It's a headache waiting to happen for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, on that note, let's get into spoilers. You mentioned that exactly that you need to know the Transformers to get into that.
Yeah.
What exactly did you mean?
Well, at the beginning, when you see all these Transformers getting killed, they go to Shell on Earth and the Decepticons attack, and you have 4 of the main characters you've seen in 2 seasons get destroyed. And after a while, Optimus Prime, sacrificing himself to save Hot Rod, he also dies. That really hits you if you've been following the series and you know who Optimus Prime is, and he's the cool leader. He's the the robot every kid wants to be, and he just dies like that. That really hits you, as if you don't know Transformers and you just watch the movie. You just sit down and know this is going to be robots fighting, and big deal, a big robot died.
I disagree with that for one simple reason. They introduce the awesomeness of Optimus Prime. They take the time to reintroduce you to the fact that Optimus Prime is awesome. The Autobots are losing, and then Prime arrives, and all the Autobots turn around and goes it's Prime, he's going to turn the tide. And then he ejects, and of course, the soundtrack tells you that he has the touch. He has the power. And then he shoots down 16 Decepticons just while transforming, and then duels Megatron. It's whether or not you've seen Transformers before, you have been notified that he is awesome.
He's awesome, but you don't know him as long. You haven't known him as long. You've known him for 15 minutes, and he dies. Awesome people die in movies.
I mean, it takes place within the continuity of the cartoon. I agree with you, but I don't think you would be confused if you watched it without having seen the other stuff.
You would see it as their leader died, and
Their awesome leader died.
Their awesome leader died. Whereas, if you've seen the cartoon, you've seen, it's Optimus Prime, the guy that has been their leaders for 22 episodes times 2 seasons that you've been following, and that's always been done the right thing, always been awesome, always has kicked ass, and you've seen it for 22 episodes. That's 44 times 30 minutes, 22 hours of him kicking ass. And then he dies. It hits you a lot more than just, it's a robot I've just known for 15 minutes.
Oh no, yeah, I'm not saying that there's less an impact. I'm just saying that you don't necessarily need that impact to follow the story. But speaking of that impact, it had quite an impact on kids. Like back in the day, kids came out crying because Optimus Prime died. Like it actually had a mild controversy because of that, and it affected G.I. Joe the movie. Like the reason why Duke doesn't die, like at the end of G.I. Joe the movie, spoiler alert, but whatever. It's like there's this offhand line like that you don't even know which character says. It goes like, "Hey, Duke's okay," and everybody goes like, "Joe." And the reason why Duke doesn't die is because of the backlash they got from killing Optimus Prime. Because kids were traumatized by this.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
They brought him back in season 4, though. So
yeah, but back in the day.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if it's a bad thing, though. I mean, kids were angry, but...
No, they weren't angry.
They were sad.
They were really sad.
But, I mean, you watch a movie to kind of live...
Yeah, feel something.
Feel something. And, okay, so you feel sad because Optimus died, but you also feel happy because, they still won the day, and you have this new leader that's pretty awesome. He grew, he took his responsibilities, and, now he's the leader. So, you have a full bag of emotion, and I guess you focus more on Optimus Prime, because that's really sad. But, having movies have you feel emotions is not a bad thing, I think.
No, and it's like, look, it was the mid to late 80s, 86.
Yeah.
Already the public policy groups were becoming a bigger thing in America, Concerned Mothers of America and everything, and there was this sort of tendency to overprotect kids. It's sort of like, my kid cannot feel anything other than joy at any time. And we were the generation growing up like that, with that. And I think it was a mistake in upbringing. And I think as adults, we're paying for it a little bit in our generation, where we're not a generation that is known for dealing with adversity particularly well.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
And I think if your kid sees a movies where he gets to feel empathy for a character and he's sad when they die, and you get to have that conversation with them about death and whatnot, it's not something to run away from. These might feel like mildly painful experiences. And like I say mildly because it's an effing cartoon, for God's sakes. And your kid knows that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's upset about the character and he feels sad, but he doesn't actually... Like, he's smart enough to know that not a real person died. Like, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Yeah.
It's a nice... I agree with you. It's a good thing that they feel that, and it's a nice tool to get them sort of equipped with dealing with sadness and dealing with empathy and all of that. It's tools that you carry as an adult. And yeah, I agree with you. It's really sad that it turned into a controversy when it really is just this impactful moment in the movie, especially because it's well directed.
Yes, it is. Like you said, it is the only moment that is silent. Unfortunately, they had this stupid human there that had to ruin everything. You can't die, Optimus. Shut up.
I am telling you what I think. But it's nice that they really just focus on removing all the artifice from that scene. Because Optimus Prime and then the soundtrack quiets down for once. And not just the music, but like all the sound. There's just no sound. And they even go black and white for a second there, which is pretty freaking awesome because like they just remove all sign of energy and life out of the room to just give you the full impact of what it's like for a robot to die.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Because that's what death is from an external eye. The person doesn't move anymore. The person doesn't have any life in them. They don't make a sound. They're just nothing. I don't. If you've ever been confronted with the corpse of a loved one in front of you, that's the first thing you notice, and that's the first thing that unsettles you. It's just you're seeing this person you recognize, but there's just no movement. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
And they reproduced that in the cartoon, and I think that's actually quite astounding.
That's true. I didn't see it that way, but I didn't see the whole... I'm not saying I didn't see that way. I didn't see the whole thing of it, but yeah, now you mention it. Well done.
That's it for Transformers. If you have questions, comments, please, you can mail us at mail@idiomatic.com or post a comment at idiomatic.com. And just click on the episode, and we'll talk to you next time. Until all or one.
Arise, Dimitri.